Welcome to this last lecture on Introduction to Chromatography. This is the fifth in the series. Uh, we have seen in the last lecture about resolution. Resolution we calculated using the formula RS is equal to 2 delta TR divided by WA plus WB. Now let us see further. This is the final lecture. In this, the effect of retention factor on selectivity factor on resolution, we are going to consider. Now, if you are having two solutes A and B, then the resolution of these two can be found out by the equation Rs is equal to alpha minus 1 upon alpha into K dash B upon 1 plus K dash B into square root of n by 4. Alpha is the selectivity factor and K dash B is the retention factor for solute B. N is the plate number. If you want to calculate the plate number from this formula, then you have to just shift the terms which are there in the denominator on the left hand side, uh, on the right hand side to the left hand side and square them. So that is what is done in the equation below here. Square root of n is equal to 4rs into alpha upon alpha minus 1 into k dash b plus 1 upon k dash b, and if you want n you have to square everything. So n will be 16 rs square alpha upon alpha minus 1, so the whole square, k dash b plus 1 upon k dash b the whole square. So these two formulas can give you the plate number of a column as well as the resolution of the column. If you want resolution, then you should know what is the plate number. If you want the plate number, you should know what is the resolution. And the resolution is calculated in terms of the selectivity factor, retention factor, and plate number. Plate numbers are calculated in terms of resolution, selectivity factor, and retention factor. Now let's see the effect of resolution on retention time. In chromatography, two things are important. One is the clean separation and the second one is time taken for the separation. Obviously we want a faster separation and a cleaner separation. Clean separation you will get if you are having a higher resolution, and if you want a faster separation, then the retention time of the last solute should be less, and obviously the other solutes the retention time should be even smaller. So here if you are having two solutes A and B, TRB, that is the retention time of the second solute, and that will be the time to complete the analysis, is given by 16 rs square h upon u into alpha upon alpha minus 1 the whole square, 1 plus k dash b the whole cube upon k dash b the whole square. So this is the equation TRB. Again, this TRB is dependent on the resolution, the plate height, the selectivity factor, and the retention factor. If you look at the both the equations of resolution as well as the TRB, you will find that there are three parts in both the equations. Let us go back and see that. In the first equation, you will find that the RS is made of three parts. One part is having square root of n. Now this n is dependent on the zone broadening, and rather the zone broadening determines the n value, and the h value and n value they are connected with the zone broadening. The alpha value is connected with the properties of each solute, and that is not dependent on the column, whereas k dash b the retention factor is connected with the solutes as well as the column. Similarly, in the other equation TRB, there also there are three terms, one involving resolution and plate number, the plate height, the second one is alpha, that is the selectivity factor, and the third one is the retention factor. Plate height is a term related to zone broadening. Lower the plate height, lesser will be the zone broadening of the solutes. So this term H is related to zone broadening, whereas alpha is connected with the solute properties. K dash B, the retention time, is dependent on both the column as well as the solutes. So these are the three terms. Now if you want a faster separation and if you want to a higher plate number, you will have to control all these factors and optimize them. The clean and fast separation can be achieved by varying these factors of these three terms. Now let us see each term how you can control them and get better separation. If you want to increase the resolution, then the plate number of the column as per equation, the first equation, should be high. Now if you want to increase the plate number, if you are keeping the plate height same, then the plate number can be increased only by increasing the length of the column. If you increase the length of the column, obviously the time required for separation will increase, and that is not desirable, because then you are getting a resolution, better resolution, but the time taken for the separation will be larger. So obviously in that case you have to use you should try to increase the n value by reducing h. You know the formula for uh, n is equal to L by h. So length of the column is not desirable to increase because it increases the time for analysis, but h can be reduced. If you reduce the h value, then the plate number can increase. So let's see the next factor, variation in h. If you want to reduce the h value, because that is what is required for a higher plate number, then plate height has to be reduced as per the equation of Van Deemter's, where Van Deemter's equation is h is equal to a plus b by u plus cu. So if you want a lower value of h, then a, b and c should be manipulated so that they should be reduced so that your h value is small. If you reduce the particle size of the packing material, then h value will reduce. Then if you for reducing the b by u term which is there, you have to increase the flow rate. That you can do only for gas chromatography. For liquid chromatography, that term is not very significant. B is very small, it's almost zero. If you want a lower cu value, then the flow rate or the mobile phase velocity should be low, and the equilibrium between the equilibrium of the solutes between the stationary phase and the mobile phase will be faster if the mobile phase flow rate is small. Okay, you can reduce the solvent viscosity also. In that case also, the diffusion in the mobile phase of the solutes will be faster and they can interact with the mobile and the stationary phase faster. The third factor which can increase the resolution is the retention factor. Now if you look at the first equation, the resolution is given by, let's go back there, resolution is alpha minus 1 upon alpha k dash b upon 1 plus k dash b into square root of n by 4. Assuming that everything is constant, that is alpha minus 1 upon alpha and root n by 4 is a constant, let us call that as q. Resolution will become q into k dash b upon 1 plus k dash b. So that equation I have written there against the retention factor. So q is equal to k dash b upon 1 plus k dash b. Rs is equal to q into k dash b upon 1 plus k dash b. Similarly, for TRB, that is the time taken for the separation, you can put q dash and you will get TRB is equal to q dash into 1 plus k dash b upon k dash b square. Right? Let's recheck that. There's a mistake there. This is 1 plus k dash b cube. It is TRB is equal to q dash into 1 plus k dash b cube upon k dash b square. So, and where q dash is 16 rs square upon u into alpha upon alpha minus 1 square. Now if you plot a graph of resolution versus your k dash b and your TRB versus k dash b, you get a graph which is this type. The RS by Q or TRB by Q dash lines are shown. The resolution line is the upper one, that is one which is rising fast in the beginning and then becoming almost constant, and the time graph is illusion time graph is the one which is falling in the beginning, then reaching a minimum and then rising slowly. So you can see that the resolution increases with k dash b, but beyond the value of 10 of k dash b, beyond the value of 10 of retention factor, the resolution doesn't increase that much. So there is no point in having k dash b which is more than 10. And if you are having k dash b which is less than 2, then the resolution is also less. So the ideal k dash b should be between 2 and 10. More ideally it should be between 5 and 10, but between 2 and 10 also. The after 2 the rise in the resolution is not very much. Similarly, the time taken for illusion is a minimum around when the k dash b is around 2, but if you want a higher resolution, then up to a k dash b value of 10 you can tolerate. Beyond 10 k dash b, the illusion time will increase more and the separation will take more time. So ideal k dash b value should be between 5 and 10, or at the most 2 and 5. So here it is all mentioned that the minimum illusion time occurs at a value of k dash b of about 2. The curve in the above figure suggests that the optimum value of k dash b, taking into account both the resolution and time, lies in the range of 1 to 5. The next factor is the alpha, the selectivity factor. When alpha approaches unity, that is when alpha becomes 1 or near to 1, then whatever you may do to k dash and whatever you may do to n, it will not be sufficient to give a satisfactory separation of the two solutes in reasonable time. So in that case, you have to increase alpha by maintaining k dash in the optimum range of 1 to 10. So keeping k dash in the range of 1 to 10, you have to have a alpha value which is more than 1. There are various ways of increasing the alpha values. One is by changing the composition of the mobile phase, including the changes in pH. You change the composition of the mobile phase and change the pH, then you will get a better alpha value. Similarly, the second factor which can control the alpha value is changing the column temperature. By changing the column temperature, alpha value can be changed. Now this is usually possible only in gas chromatography. The third way by which you can control the alpha value or increase alpha value is by changing the composition of the stationary phase. Change the stationary phase and you can get a better alpha value. This will involve the change in the column, because changing the stationary phase means you have to change the column itself. The fourth factor or the fourth way by which you can increase alpha is by using special chemical effect. Let's see the first case, how to change the mobile phase and get better alpha. Now the example given is of anisole and benzene. Anisole and benzene, if they were separated on a 50% mixture of water and methanol, the k dash value for them were 4.5 and 4.7, and alpha value of 1.04, which is not very good. Now if you can substitute the aqueous mobile phase, substitution of an aqueous mobile phase containing 37% tetrahydrofuran gave a k dash value of 3.9 and 4.7. So that means instead of the water, 50% water, they took an aqueous phase which is having 37% tetrahydrofuran. So that gave a k dash value of 3.9 for anisole and 4.7 for benzene. So alpha value became 1.2. So that was The that was in that way they change alpha value 1 to 1.2, and which is a better value, and separation is obtained. For if you are separating ions, especially ionizable acids or bases, then by changing the pH you can change the alpha value, and the k dash value will not change much, so that the time taken for analysis will be always same. Only by changing the pH alpha value can be changed. Now the third option is to change the stationary phase, and that you can do only by changing the column. Increase in temperature usually cause increase in k dash, but it will have little effect on alpha values in liquid-liquid chromatography or liquid-solid chromatography. In ion exchange chromatography, the change in temperature can affect can cause a large change in alpha values. So in ion chromatography, you can change the temperature of the mobile phase. Similarly, in gas chromatography also, you can change the temperature and get better alpha value. One more way of increasing resolution is to incorporate a special compound on the column which interacts with the components of the sample. So if you are having the separation of olefins, you impregnate the column with silver ions, and the unsaturated olefins compound will complex with the silver, and these silver complexes will give you different alpha values. So thus a better separation is possible by using silver ions on silver ions which have been imparted on the stationary phase on the column. So this way we can increase the of the uh, resolution of the separation. Now we have to see the general elution problem. When you try to do the analysis of a mixture, this is what you will get. Typically, this is what you will get. See the first example, first part, A part. You can see here you are having 6 components, A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In the first situation, 1 and 2 have got separated nicely. 3 and 4, there is some overlap, and 5 and 6, the time taken for analysis is very large, and the whole separation takes very large time, and it's not worthwhile. In the second situation, they have changed the k dash values of all the they have changed the k dash values so that 5 and 6 are separated nicely. But if they change the conditions so that the k dash value of 5 and 6 changes, and the separation is sharp for 5 and 6. But in that case, 1 and 2 overlap, and 3 and 2 also overlap very much. So that situation also is not desirable. In the third situation, retention factors of 3 and 4 are adjusted so that they separated easily. They separate nicely, but with this results in 1 and 2 being compressed together, and 5 and 6 showing band zone broadening. So this is a common problem in chromatography. So now what you can do is, if you want to solve this problem, you have to change the conditions of the elution after every separation. So if you want a good separation here, what you can do is initially you keep the conditions in such a way that k dash values for 1 and retention factor values for 1 and 2 are sufficiently different, and you get sharp peaks for 1 and 2. Once 1 and 2 have been separated, you change the conditions and keep the condition as in C. So in that case 3 and 4 will get separated, and then finally when 3 and 4 have come out of the column, you create the conditions which are similar to B, and then in that case your 5 and 6 will get separated. So there is a change in so this is what you can observe in gradient elution in HPLC. This you can achieve by gradient elution in HPLC, and in gas chromatography you can achieve this by changing the temperature of the column. So all the explanation I have given here. Figure above illustrates the hypothetical chromatogram for a 6-component mixture made up of 3 pairs of components having widely different distribution constants, thus retention factors. In chromatogram A, conditions have been adjusted so that retention factor for components 1 and 2 K-1 and K-2 are in the optimum range of 2 to 5. The corresponding factor for the other components are, however, far larger than the optimum. That the peak for 5 and 6 appear only after a long time, and also these peaks are so broad that they may be difficult to identify, as shown in the chromatogram. In B, the changing conditions to optimize the separation of 5 and 6 bunches the peaks for first 4 components. In chromatogram B, the first 4 peaks are together. As you can see in B, the first 4 are together, 5 and 6 are well separated. Thus the peaks for 5 and 6 appear, uh, changing conditions to optimize separation of 5 and 6 bunches the peak for first 4 components to the point where their resolutions are unsatisfactory. Here, however, the total elution time is ideal. A third set of condition in which k dash value for 3 and 4 are optimal results in a chromatogram C, where again the separation of the other two pairs is not entirely satisfactory. The phenomena illustrated in the figure above is called the general elution problem. Now, a common solution to this problem is to change the conditions that determine the values of k dash as the separation proceeds. Initially, conditions should be created for ideal k value for 1 and 2. Once these are eluted, ideal conditions for elution of 3 and 4 should be made to elude them. Finally, conditions suitable for 5 and 6 should be made. In GC, favorable conditions can be created by varying the temperature of the mobile phase. In LC, favorable conditions can be created by varying the composition of the mobile phase. That is called gradient elution. Now, with this, we have completed the theory of chromatography. The reference material used, I have referred to mainly Skrugen-Holler principles of instrumental analysis by Skrugen-Holler. You can refer it for further studies. Thank you for listening to me patiently for these 5 lectures. Next topic, I will start with gas chromatography.